And then finally, after everything, the government starts to have sense and decides to put the country on a lockdown. But then, how on earth do you expect people to survive indoors by the time their stock up is actually exhausted, with the local markets all shut down, and then the few shops that are around, the prices of things are nothing to write home about? How? Like, what will it take this freaking government to decide to pay every single person in this country? What? Everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. It's Bethel here. Today's video is going to be a really quick one. I briefly want to express my feelings, share my feelings towards this whole global pandemic. YouTube is actually taking down / demonetizing videos of anyone mentioning the name of the virus in his or her channel, so I will not be doing that, because I'm not here to talk about the virus or anything like that, because I feel like at this point in time, with what is currently going on, every single person knows about it, what it entails, what it's all about, so I will not be doing that. I just want to holla about my country, the country that I come from, that I'm living inside, that I reside in, is reacting to this. Fam, I am a Nigerian living in Nigeria. In case you're wondering what country it is I am referring to, it is Nigeria. And the first time that I actually ever heard of such a word, the virus, was sometime towards the end of 2019. An uncle of mine was watching TV in the parlor, and then I walk in and I'm like, yeah, when did you start to watch the Chinese channel? Because looking at the TV that day, it was strange. There were Chinese people everywhere wearing face masks, so I just did not understand what was going on. And then it's like, no, that it's not the Chinese channel, it's the CNN news. That was when I actually zoomed in and confirmed that, oh, it's the CNN news. And the headlines that they read, the virus attacks China. I was like, yeah, virus, qua. Then I quickly muttered a short prayer, God help China, and then that was it. Fast forward to January 2020, I am hearing that this thing is everywhere. It's in the UK, it's in Italy, it's in the US, it's in India, in Germany, Russia, name it. And then now it's in Nigeria. Why? During my research, while preparing for this video, I found out that, now permit me if these figures I'm calling might be wrong by the time this video is actually out, but then know that before the video is out, before me framing it, it was correct. During my research, I found out that over 921,924 persons are currently infected by this, and sadly 46,252 persons have lost their lives to it, and fortunately 192,964 persons have recovered from this. So as a result of this whole thing leading to a pandemic, countries are on a lockdown. Travel bans have been instilled, the churches, the mosques, schools, markets, business places, and so much more have been shut down. But then, like I said earlier, I am not here to give anybody any detailed information about the virus. I simply want to react to how my fellow Nigerians are reacting to this. Like, hello, Nigeria, what's happening? What is going on? Why is it that we like to take things for granted? When the rest of the world were busy shutting down and trying their possible means to stop all forms of public gatherings, we simply ignored them. Instead of the government at that time to start to take things serious, adhere to necessary precautions to prevent all of this, try to create panic amongst our citizens so that people can actually be aware of what is going on. No, they did not do that. They were even the ones who were busy traveling abroad to celebrate birthdays and attend other functions. And then I remember that there was this one time when it was all over social media that there is no way that the virus can survive in Africa, that there is no way that a black man can be infected. Why? Because according to them, the virus cannot survive in a continent where the weather is hot. So how about now that over 100 persons are currently infected in Nigeria alone? Is the virus still cold-blooded? And then finally, after everything, the government starts to have sense and decides to put the country on a lockdown. Travel bans have been instilled, the borders are all closed up, federal governments have restricted all school activities for this period, the local markets are shut down as well, and certain companies have been shut down to try to contain this thing, which, yes, it's a good idea, a good move for a good motive, because I feel like they're only trying to follow suit what other countries are doing, but then they're not following suit on 100%. For crying out loud, you put the country on a lockdown. You tell people to stay indoors, to remain indoors, not to leave their homes, to self-isolate, maintain social distance and all of that. But then you're not even making necessary provisions on how the citizens would survive. Like other nations, UK for instance, is busy paying every single person for this period. In some states, they provide raw food and essentials for them at their doorstep, so just they would not come outside. But then what are we doing? Nothing. The country's in a lockdown. Fine. You tell people to stay indoors, not to leave their houses. Fine. You lock down the local markets, you lock down people's shops, their means of livelihood, their means of survival, just so they can stay indoors. Fine. Some companies have shut down as well. Their staffs have gone inside home, like they've gone back home with no salaries. Fine. But then how on earth do you expect people to survive indoors by the time their stock up is actually exhausted, with the local markets all shut down, and then the few shops that are around, the prices of things are nothing to write home about? How? Like, what will it take this freaking government to decide to pay every single person in this country? What? Because it's not like as if the money is not there. Now, that's the annoying thing of everything. It's not like as if the money is there. The money is there. Considering the kind of amount that we spend on elections, on campaigns, on things that are not even necessary, on projects that are not even necessary, they are a whole lot. So how can deciding to pay your own citizen for their own survival be a pain in the ass? Be something that is so difficult for you to do? How? Nobody should come at me saying that I'm not happy about this lockdown. I am. I respect it. I respect its motive. But then I feel like if this thing should continue like this, then it will not just be the virus that people are battling. They'll start to battle hunger. So as much as the government is trying to do all of this to safelock the country, I feel like they should tackle this issue properly and make provisions on how the people would survive. Now, outside of the government being a major part of this problem, in a way, I would say that the masses as well have an equal share to this. In the sense that a lot of Nigerians out there are still refusing to believe that there is anything like a virus. Like, even at this current state, with the number of persons that are currently infected, people are still doubting that there is anything like that. And it is funny because at this point, I don't know what words to use to describe such persons. If it is being ignorant or being stupid. But then again, looking back, like stepping back and analyzing the whole situation, I would not settle for any of those words, because I feel like the only reason why they are reacting to this in this manner, it's not because they want to, but then it's because of how the kind of relationship the governments have created with its people. There's no trust. So if the government up there is saying that over 100 persons are currently infected, the local masses are saying that probably up to 20 persons are not even infected, that maybe the government is just adding invisible figures so just they can collect donations from World Health Organizations and other health servers, which explains that there is simply no trust. But then, as much as we are still trying to think about all these things, we are trying to have all these things at our mind, let's not forget that there is a fact. And the fact is that there is a virus, and this virus is real. This thing now is in Nigeria, and it's affecting people. It's starting to infect as much people as it can find. But then, if it goes out of hand and starts to infect and infect and infect, then I don't know what will happen at that point. Because we already know here that our healthcare systems are nothing to write home about. Considering the fact that our Minister of Health is a freaking accountant, like that guy read accounting in school. How on earth is he supposed to be a Minister of Health? But then, while we are battling with our undeserving politicians and the paralyzed government, let's still have it at the back of our minds that if countries like Italy, like US, like UK, China, Russia, Germany could not contain this, then how much more Nigeria? So please, let us stop being stubborn and being careless and putting the rest of us at risk. Let's try as much as we can to stay safe, to stay home. And then if there's any need for you to leave your house, adhere to necessary precautions by wearing face masks and gloves and doing all of that. Self-isolate. And I want to encourage you all to please do just that, to have faith and then pray. Be grateful that somehow you're still alive, and please cherish it. Because the people that have lost their lives, it's not like as if they are 100% careful or 100% perfect. So be grateful that you're still alive. Be grateful that there is still hope and that all of this will soon come to an end. I pray that he puts you all in a better mood. I pray that he gives you sound mind so you won't be afraid. I pray that he gives you motivation for you to do the things that you need to do. And I pray that all of this comes to an end pretty soon. So please, let's try to keep our heads up, to stay positive and stay strong, and trust in God, most importantly, that all of this whole higi-haga soon end. So that's it for this video, guys. I promise it's going to be a quick one. Don't forget to thumbs up if you did like it, comment down below, like, comment and subscribe. I will see you all in my next one. Love you guys. Mwah.